The topic of liminal spaces has become of interest to many people, including myself. If you spend any time on the internet, then there's a high chance that you've stumbled onto an image or video of a liminal space. But what is a liminal space? As quoted by author and Franciscan Friar Richard Rohr on innerliminalspace.org, where we are betwixt and between the familiar and completely unknown. There alone is our world left behind, while we are not yet sure of the new existence. That's a good space where genuine newness can begin. Get there often and stay as long as you can by whatever means possible. This is the sacred space where the old world is able to fall apart and a bigger world is revealed. If we don't encounter liminal space in our lives, we start idealizing normalcy. That's a lovely way to describe these spaces. Viewing them fills us with such varied feelings, ranging from feeling nostalgic to derealization and even feelings of sorrow, just to name a few. Knowing this now, we'll be taking a look at the Liminal Spaces Iceberg chart. But before we do, I'd like to thank Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. This game has a massive amount of PvE style content, PvP on a global scale, over 600 plus champions to utilize, and a monstrous amount of enemies to slay. Assemble yourself a band of your favorite heroes and send them off on adventures to fight the toughest enemies and bosses the lands have ever seen and acquire epic loot. Speaking of bosses, I have to talk about my favorite, the Guardian of the Void Keep, Malik Kavar. He's a priest of the light turned to the void, and I think his character design is really cool. He's a tough as nails boss fight, but will reward you nicely with void potions used to ascend champions when defeated. His poison debuffs can't be blocked or resisted, so you'll need shield buffs and healing to counteract the damage. Alternatively, you can use the ability to remove debuffs directly, and you'll need to do it often. If you can cleanse these debuffs while fighting this boss, you'll be good to go because he doesn't have many other tools at his disposal. They've also recently added the brutal Hydra boss battle, a multi-headed serpent that'll really test your deep strategic knowledge of the game. There are also a ton of events and tournaments to be played every single day, including some special Valentine's Day events where you can get your hands on a brand new legendary champion. This has got to be the best time to get started in Raid, and if you click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen, you'll get some pretty damn cool bonuses as a new player. We're talking one free epic champion called Vergus, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in-game. These will be found in your inbox for the next 30 days only. All of this treasure and the glory of battle can be all yours. Thanks again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Now, let's take a look at the iceberg chart. This chart was posted to icebergcharts.com and was made by TruMediumI and a lot of other people, with a lot of other people most likely referring to users who suggested and or supplied liminal space entries. So this seems to be a collaboration with lots of users in the community, with proposals still wanted for the iceberg chart. I'll have a link to the chart in the description. Now, the entries found on the iceberg are categorized as classic liminal, edited/fake/CG, video game, eerie/uncanny, pop culture, cursed liminal, specific backroom level, image trait/attribute/location, content creator, and general/other. The content related to the entries may also be used on the actual iceberg chart image itself, be related to an alternate reality game, aka an ARG, a literature or creepypasta, related to the Backrooms, or be music based. This leaves us with over 200 entries and we'll be looking through them from the top to the bottom. Entries near the top of the iceberg are generally more well known, with entries near the bottom being more obscure. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know how these videos are formatted, but this time, I'm going to take a different approach to covering this topic. An approach that mixes image compilations and entry explanations. And for the first time, I won't be explaining every entry. I know. This is just because some entries are very similar to each other, or they can be explained in one sentence. So, I hope you enjoy the changes to the format, and as always, I'll have links to a lot of what's talked about in the description. Also, I'm going to start a Patreon in the near future for those of you who want to support me beyond watching and interacting with my videos. I'll have some pretty cool exclusive perks, early access to content, and more for anyone that joins, so get hyped for that. I've also recently started a second channel called Soda Jump if you want to see more frequently uploaded content there. Link in description. Now without further ado, let's dive into the Liminal Spaces Iceberg. Let's kick things off with the 4chan post credited with popularizing liminal spaces. The Backrooms. This was posted on the 14th of May 2019, and it explains that you may end up in the backrooms if you're not careful no-clipping out of reality. The backrooms are said to be approximately 600 million square miles of empty, mono-yellow and old moist carpet-smelling rooms. These rooms are filled with the humbuzz of fluorescent lights, and God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. This is a simple and effective creepypasta that leaves you with enough information to get a basic understanding of it while also having a lot of questions. How do you no-clip out of reality? How could something be this big? Who made it? What else is wandering around it? As stated before, this post kicked off the popularization of liminal spaces, and as we continue down the iceberg, you'll see just how far that popularization has gone. The lobby. This is the previous Backrooms image, however, it relates to a collaborative effort website called the Liminal Archives. This website has a list of a lot of liminal spaces with a sort of intertwined story related to the groups and entities that explore and live in them. It's a pretty interesting read, and it kind of reminds me of the SCP website. You get a feeling you've stumbled upon a website that wasn't made for the general public, something that you shouldn't have seen. The lobby is stated to be level 1 of the Backrooms and is referred to as the Halls. This place has been said to be entered from an outside universe or via its sublevels. It can also be exited via a special staircase or through sublevels. Isn't that interesting? A collaborative creative effort made to create a world of liminal spaces tied together with a small narrative. r/liminal space. This is a subreddit dedicated to mainly posting images of liminal spaces. Some of these spaces can seem like places where reality seems altered. Schools at night, leaving the movie theater late, empty beaches early in the morning, and traffic lights when there are no cars around late at night. It really does feel like that, huh? I'm bringing this to your attention because one common factor that most liminal spaces have is that they're devoid of any life. This can really make them feel like a place where reality is altered, even though it isn't. I guess what assists with that feeling is the aesthetics. Liminal space and aesthetics. This entry refers to how liminal spaces are their own aesthetic, with the aesthetics.fandom wiki dedicating a page for liminal spaces. This page has a section for the topic's history, concept, visual, resources, and a gallery section. Pool rooms. You see a lot of these if you're browsing liminal spaces. There's something about them that's just so mysterious and in a way, magical. They really make me wonder just what kind of areas are beyond them. How deep are some of these pools too? They can seem bottomless or even like they go on forever, and ever, and ever. Actually, that reminds me, when the topic of pool rooms comes to mind, I think of Jared Pike, our first solo creator. Pike is a New York-based designer/artist who creates imaginary liminal interiors and dreamscapes according to his website. These are mesmerizing pieces made in Blender, especially when they're animated and the sound of water is played through the website. Speaking of the water, it looks amazing. It really makes you wonder just where these tunnels lead to and how deep the pools go. It hits the "I feel like I've been here" spot too because of how the tiling looks. It reminds me of a hotel pool, but crazier. 10 out of 10 liminal space art. If you want to support Pike's business, you can check out his website that I'll have linked in the description. He has art you can buy, contact info, and social media links where you can find techniques he uses and a larger catalog of his aesthetic art. Liminal space image compilations. That's what I'm doing for every layer of this iceberg chart! But I mean, there are a few videos added in here and there, but it follows the same premise. Get some liminal space images and have them cut to one another over some music that fits the aesthetic. If you do it right, you'll make your audience feel like they're being taken to another reality. You know, speaking of music that fits the aesthetic, if you've watched enough image compilations, you'll have noticed that some of them use songs by The Caretaker. It's Just a Burning Memory is the most notable song people use, so that should give you somewhat of an idea on what music is being used in the image compilations. Now let's focus on a compilation creator, Miak Dalid. Miak Daled? Whatever the pronunciation is, you can find liminal space image compilations on this channel with videos related to phobias and making you feel a certain way. There's some pretty atmospheric content here, and you can find similar content on another channel by the name of Shuki, a YouTuber that not only focuses on showing viewers liminal spaces, but also explains them, giving context as to why we feel the way we do when experiencing certain spaces. If the content both of these creators make sounds interesting to you, I'll have their channels linked in the description. 154 Freston Road. I really wanted to just quickly slot this entry in because it's a little eerie to not see Rick Astley in frame here. It just seems so empty. All of that movement in the music video, all of the history it created, seems like it's just gone. He gave you up. Going back to terminologies and concepts, anemoia, nostalgia for a time you've never known. Since the idea of liminal spaces have become popular, a lot of people from Gen Z have been the ones to push this popularity. And ironically, a lot of liminal spaces are from times before Gen Z could experience them. So let's focus on 90s nostalgia for a bit. Here's how I see it. I was born in 1999, but I am so nostalgic for the 90s because I was able to experience some of what was offered thanks to my parents, older cousins, and friends. However, other people have no choice but to experience the 90s through external factors, for example, liminal spaces. There's something warm about this era of time. It really makes some people want to say, I was born in the wrong generation, despite just how goofy that saying can be. Anemoiopolis. This is an in-development atmospheric terror liminal spaces game being developed by Andrew Quist. You'll find yourself lost in a surreal and haunted underground neighborhood with the goal of discovering its origins and escape, if you can. Honestly, it looks like it's gonna be a pretty damn good game to experience once it comes out. Some of the spaces even give me a small sense of nostalgia, like the pools and locker rooms. You know, other places I feel are very nostalgic are arcades. Are arcades still around? Yeah, but they just don't feel the same anymore. They have too much of a modern feel. The 90s aesthetic bled into the 2000s, and I miss the look of the dark carpets, the cheap food, the tables made for parties, the arcade tokens, the unlimited retries for parties, the bowling alleys, the occasional game console that could be played, and the strangely made indoor playgrounds. Looking at these liminal spaces really takes me back. I can imagine myself alone or with friends running around and playing on the machines. And if you never got to experience that but feel nostalgic for it, then, you know, anemoia. Wait, does that mean I have anemoia for 90s arcades, like true 90s arcades, and 80s arcades? Bliss, Windows XP, the default Windows XP wallpaper. The hills in the image give it such a peaceful yet empty feel. Really makes you wonder if anything could be over those hills. Well, here's the hillside in real life, and it looks like there are more hills and some houses beyond it. Beautiful. Kane Pixels. He's a YouTuber that's made some varied content, mainly related to Attack on Titan, but recently, he's uploaded Backrooms content. We're talking found footage, the third test, first contact, and missing persons. These videos are out of this world. They're a 10 out of 10 watch and create an even bigger sense of mystery that the Backrooms deserves. I won't show any footage because I just think these videos are something you'll need to experience for yourself. His channel will be linked in the description. Let's keep the nostalgia going with I Spy. These images hit me like a truck. They unlocked memories I forgot I even had. I used to read a lot of I Spy books as a kid, and I think most, if not all of these images are from those books. I used to also play an I Spy video game called I Spy Spooky Mansion on my dad's computer, and I think some of these images may also have been levels in this game. Probably not, but this game is amazing. I remembered it being set in a haunted house of some kind with a skeleton lady guiding you on how to leave the house. As you completed levels, she would change shape and eventually fly like a butterfly out of the house, or something. Or maybe that was the ghosts you had to craft. I don't really remember very well, but these I Spy images, man, they are something. Everything looks frozen in time, like a limbo of sorts. It's beautiful. The I Spy books and games are very much beautifully mysterious things. If you want to, leave a comment down below about your experiences with I Spy. Malls. Another popular place for creating liminal spaces. Have you ever been at a mall as it's closing for the night or walked around through one after a late night movie? It's very empty. It's a call to go home or to get out of the mall. Obviously, because it's closed and there's nothing there for you to do for now. Minecraft. It makes sense that Minecraft would make its way onto the iceberg. If you go for the single player experience, you'll be constantly walking around uninhabited biomes filled with nothing other than mountains and the occasional mobs. Same can be said when underground. Sometimes there's just nothing there other than you and your thoughts. And the noises. Plus, you can find the occasional evidence of an advanced civilization that once stood. All of this seemingly frozen in time until you come along. My swimsuit's still dripping water. More pool room talk similar to when Jared Pike's art was discussed, except this time the nostalgia is cranked to the max. Look at this! The path from the pool to the hotel room is oddly quiet. You see people at the pool, so you'd think there'd be people roaming the hotel halls, but no. It's an almost quiet walk back to the hotel room, mainly because your parents are telling you to quiet down in the halls. Sanatorium Ingle. More hotel talk. This image is interesting because not only is it a real place, but it's not as dank as it looks. This swimming pool can be found at the Hotel Ingle in the Ukraine. This place, as the entry states, is a sanatorium. So what is that? They're places that originated from former Soviet unions that mix a resort, recreational facility, and medical facility to provide short-term rest and medical services to patrons. So I guess at the Hotel Ingle, this is the, or at least part of the sanatorium. And as we can see, it looks normal enough here when there's enough lighting. But the pink, green, and the pipes still make the place stand out. I think that just comes with the Soviet aesthetic due to how interesting the designs and architecture were. Solar Sands, another creator. He makes content on an assortment of topics. But I guess what relates to the entry here is that he has made videos on liminal spaces and topics related to liminal spaces like thalassophobia and fake liminal spaces. He also used to make a lot of videos related to DeviantArt, so if some or all of those topics sound of interest to you, check out his channel, link in description. Stairs. These are also popular areas for making liminal spaces. I assume that's because they really embody being betwixt and between, a space that connects the past with the unknown future. An area that takes us to our next destination, whether that be known or unknown. Lighting and angles also really help to bring that feeling across by creating a sense of mystery and foreboding on what lies ahead further up the staircase or beyond the darkness. Hold on. Staircases. Super Mario 64. This game was released on the Nintendo 64 in 1996, and there's a lot about this game that creates such strange liminal spaces. The textures in Nintendo 64 games had a very unique blurry look to them. I won't go into details because I have no idea how to describe it all, but MIP mapping and whatnot, you know? Pair this with how the game's levels are designed, the internal plexus of the castle, how oddly alone the game can feel, and any sort of personalization some people have mentioned they've experienced, and you have a recipe for creepypastas and creepy liminal spaces. Sticking to the topic of video games, Super Liminal. This was a first-person puzzle game released by Pillow Castle in 2019. Simply stated, the gameplay revolves around optical illusions and perspectives. As an example, the player can move certain objects towards and away from them to change the size of the object to solve certain puzzles. I've never played the game before, but if you have, maybe let everyone know how it was in the comments section. I'd be curious to know. The End. Another entry related to the Backrooms. This area is seen as a trap level that creates a wicked illusion of escaping the Backrooms. Leaving this level is difficult due to the nature of its geometry, mainly because of the personalized fake realities that can appear within the level. This level can be accessed through doors that indicate an exit, and exiting the level is inconsistent and mainly done through the personalized fake realities. What an interesting and creative backroom level. The Stanley Parable. This is a game made by developers Davey Reedon and William Pugh, and was originally a Half-Life 2 mod made by Reedon. The game revolves around a silent protagonist called Stanley who the player controls. There is also a narrator who attempts to guide the player, but you can choose not to follow what he says, creating different paths and endings in the game. Why this is on the Liminal Spaces Iceberg chart is because the game is set in an office. An empty office. Liminal spaces, baby! The whole game is just liminal space after liminal space, empty place after empty place. The Truman Show. This is one of my favorite movies. The premise of it is super interesting from the beginning to the end. The plot is pretty sinister and psychologically damaging for the main character Truman Burbank, a man who lives in a fake reality surrounded by actors for a 24/7 TV show about him. But that eventual crack and then shatter of Truman's reality is what makes this movie for myself and a lot of other people one of their favorites. Anyway, this frame of the movie here really personifies what a liminal space can be. This is an edited version of the scene, but it still gets the points across. We have the boat used to travel the flat seas of the show's set to the border of the fake world. The stairs leading to the real world, a sky-style wallpaper, and even a window for some reason. Walking up those stairs, Truman had no idea what his future had in store for him. Truly, a great liminal space. Here's the actual shots from the movie scenes. Now finally, for the last entry in this layer, we have Torquay Rainbow Funhouse. This place looks like a lot of fun for a kid. I remember going to places like this as a child, and man, those were some great times. However, they were never to this scale. This place looks enormous and almost maze-like with the amount of playground there is. I feel like you could easily get lost in this or not know where you're going to end up. Blockbuster. God, I miss this place, and I have a lot of nostalgia for it, and I'm sure many of you do too, going into the store with your parents and renting a game or movie for a week. This image really captures just how empty and desolate Blockbusters had become before they shut down. Deja Vu Area. I had to talk about this poster because it's just so ominous and uncanny, but I know what you're thinking. What the hell is this? Well, I have no idea, but according to people on Reddit, this is either a promotional poster for Control or it's related to an SCP, or both. It's kind of hard to pinpoint, so if you can confirm where this poster comes from, please let us know in the comment section. Five Nights at Freddy's. We all know this game franchise, right? The first one was released in 2014 and then all of this. There are a lot of dark corridors in this game, and at the best of times, nothing is at the end of them. As of releasing this video, Security Breach is the latest FNAF game, and the whole feeling of the game is very different from the other ones, but still, very liminal space-like at certain parts. Garry's Mod. This game was released on the 29th of November 2006 for PC, and it is great to play with your friends, but by yourself, it's a completely different beast. It's just so lonely without anyone, and it sometimes feels like something is watching you. Mix that with all of these spaces, creepypastas, and the occasional spook from the developers, and it can create a seriously uncomfortable experience. Kynopsia. Another important term regarding liminal spaces. You combine the Greek word kenosis, meaning emptiness, and opsia, meaning seeing, and you get kynopsia, seeing emptiness. I got different answers online, but translations, am I right? Kynopsia.com also gives a definition of the term, which reads as follows. The eerie, forlorn atmosphere of a place that's usually bustling with people but is now abandoned and quiet. A school hallway in the evening, an unlit office on a weekend, vacant fairgrounds, an emotional afterimage that makes it seem not just empty but hyper empty, with a total population in the negative. who are so conspicuously absent they glow like neon signs. Basically, liminal spaces can thrive on canopsia. Original Herobrine photograph. More Minecraft, and this time it's the Herobrine photo. This image has been burnt into my mind. I used to watch the classic Herobrine, Who Is He video, rest in peace that video, a lot as a kid. I did it because the Herobrine mystery was just that interesting to me and my brother, and this image is what started that all for myself and a lot of other people. It's perfect for a creepypasta, the fog, the old Minecraft look, and Herobrine, only barely in sight. 10 out of 10. Pipe Dreams. This refers to level 2 of the Backrooms, which consists of concrete maintenance tunnels lined with pipes and ventilation ducts. It can be accessed via normal reality from level 1, the hub, and can be exited through unlocked doors. I guess what makes this place notable is because of whatever that thing is, the undetermined entity. Imagine roaming claustrophobic halls like these, all by yourself, and you encounter this thing running towards you. The hot air balloon and house image used in vision tests, the final entry of this layer. I've never seen these during my eye tests, but what the hell? This house and hot air balloon are the most menacing objects I've ever seen. It's like you're having a standoff with them, and they're getting closer. Have any of you had to look at these images for an eye test? If so, are they as menacing as I think they are? Let myself and everyone else know in the comments section. Come see my cat graffiti. I have many questions and I don't think anyone has the answers to them. Like the context of this image. What is the context and why would someone just graffiti this on a random wall? I don't know. I just wanted to bring this image to light because of just how weird it is. Corinthia Hotel, Khartoum. So this is a really strange one. This is a hotel found in Sudan, but a large amount of the images found on Google Maps of the hotel don't have anyone within shot, or in rare cases, there's a few people hanging around. It's just empty rooms and empty halls. Where is everyone? The hotel has a pretty good star rating, so it doesn't seem like a bad place. It's just a hotel, right? DashCon. So, for those of you who don't know what this historical event was, it was a gathering, but not just any type of gathering, no. A gathering of Tumblr users from many fandoms. They gathered at the Renaissance Shamburg Convention Center Hotel over the weekend of July 11th, 2014. Long story short, this convention was a mess with a lot of shortcomings. One of those shortcomings was the ball pit. The infamous ball pit. Fun fact, it was used as reimbursement for a cancelled panel of speakers. Attendees got an extra hour in the pit. What a deal. This thing looks incredibly sad all by itself, and along with the empty chairs far away, unintentionally creates a liminal space. There's a lot of information and history surrounding this event, so if you want more info on it all, give DashCon a quick search and sink into the hours and hours worth of content on this topic. Just like how everyone's hopes for the event was sunk into that ball pit. Anyway, Gabrielle Salonga. She is a photographer, filmmaker, and visual artist based in London. Her liminal space artwork is stunning. A lot of it seems to follow the theme of infinite and the unknown, but in a very light-hearted and surreal way. You can find more of her work on other parts of her website and on her Instagram. I'll have the website linked in the description. Gibby. So, I only found this out because of the iceberg chart, but apparently, there was supposed to be an iCarly spin-off series for Gibby. This show would have been about Gibby getting a job at a recreational center where he ends up becoming a sort of mentor figure to 4 middle school kids. Just check out this set, so lit up and full of life, but nobody's here. Also, a pilot was made, but it never aired. Sam and Cat was greenlit, but a show about Gibby wasn't? Lego sets. I had no idea that the background images on Lego set boxes were this uncanny. What is this? A nightmare? It just goes to show how canny these backgrounds become when there's something in the foreground like a few Lego dudes, vehicles, or buildings. LSD Dream Emulator. This is an exploration style game developed and published by Asmic Ace Entertainment on October 22nd, 1998 for the PlayStation. The LSD part of the name stands for Link Speed Dream, not lysergic acid diethylamide, but maybe it should mean the latter because this game is full of psychedelic aesthetics. And with psychedelic aesthetics comes liminal spaces. This was all done as a way to create contemporary art on the PlayStation, with the ideas for the environments coming from an Asmic Ace Entertainment employee's dream diary. The Simpsons. When I think of liminal spaces in The Simpsons' house or Springfield being empty and abandoned come to mind. But what truly comes to mind is the third dimension from Treehouse of Horror VI. This whole area seems infinite, is filled with random math-related objects, and the only life that can be found in it are 3 goldfish. Oh, and Homer. The climax of the episode is when the ground starts sinking and creates what looks like an endless void. Homer falls in and then is lost in the real world. Have any of you spotted Homer 3 in your neighborhood? View from the window at Le Gras. For those of you who don't know, this image is famous for being the world's first photograph, or at least the world's earliest surviving photograph. It was taken in 1826 by Joseph Nicephore Niepce. I won't even worry about the pronunciation of the name, and it was named View from the Window at Le Gras. Who could have guessed that the claimed world's first photograph would end up looking like a liminal space? To be honest, cameras weren't exactly great in the 19th century, so the quality and lack of color really adds to that liminal space feeling. And now, for the final entry of this layer, Worlds.com. Released sometime in April 1995, it was made to be an online virtual reality-based chat program. It's kind of similar to VR chat, and as of releasing this video, the game is still online. As seen by these screenshots of the game, it looks pretty uncanny when it's empty, but honestly, just uncanny in general. It's kind of crazy just how many video games, or specifically empty online games, can create liminal spaces. Absol Maze. This was posted to Reddit on r/liminal space and was captioned with, "This was found on one of my old phones. I don't remember what it means or why I have it." Well, that's worrying, and that's all the context we get to this image. So all we can do is speculate as to why someone would do this. For fun? I mean, why not make an endless maze honoring your favorite Pokemon who looks uncomfortably anthropomorphic? Just from the way the maze looks, this might be a modded version of the Windows 3D maze screensaver, which might actually check out. So let's talk about the Windows 3D maze. Do you see what I mean? This was first added to Windows 95 before being discontinued in Windows 2000. The maze is randomly generated each time, with the computer using the left-hand rule to navigate through the maze and eventually reach the end. Images, a rat, and an interactable that flips the camera upside down when touched can be found throughout the maze too. At the end of the maze, you'll find a smiley face, and once reached, a new maze will generate. Now that's a liminal space. It really taps into endlessness and the detachment from reality. AI-generated liminal spaces. More computer talk, and if you're wondering how this works, I have no idea. But you can assume someone or a group of people help the AI learn about what a liminal space is made of, possibly by giving it a dataset to learn from. Anyway, for AI-generated images, these are really good and capture the look of liminal spaces. BTS Spring Day. Shocker, but I don't listen to BTS, so I don't exactly know what this song and music video is all about. I've read the translated lyrics and it seems to be about a long winter and conflict with a significant other. I can't show the video, but I have some screenshots, and as we can see, the video is full of empty environments and a lack of people, other than the BTS members of course. Very strange, yet artistic. Hall of Tortured Souls. What a contrast from the last entry. As shown in this video by Flytech Videos, you just need to boot up Windows 95, open Microsoft Excel, follow a few other very specific steps in Excel, and then the Hall of Tortured Souls will open in a new window. To explain why this might exist, at the start of Flytech's video, it stated that this hall may serve to give credit to the developers of Windows 95 who all felt underappreciated. I've also seen people on Reddit explain that because the hall uses a similar game engine to Doom, and it seems a bit demonic, that it's basically a homage to the game. Either way, it's still a pretty interesting Easter egg, especially if you stumble upon it by accident. Mario Kart Wii. I wanted to talk about this entry really quickly because I am extremely nostalgic for this game, and I know a lot of you are probably too. I played this game by myself, with my brothers and my cousins for hundreds of hours. So many fond memories, and just seeing screenshots of the game with no one on the racetracks is surprisingly calming. It's like we've all moved on, or we're finally taking a well-deserved break from the game before going back to it to get a rush of childhood memories again. Although, I really don't like how the crowd is just staring down the camera like that. Minecraft Alpha 2009. Back to the Minecraft talk. Minecraft Alpha looked whack. I played it a bit when it first released and it was fine, but looking on it now, the basis for Minecraft was there, but it was missing the heart, the soul of Minecraft, if that makes sense. Omega Mart. This is a sort of art exhibition by Meow Wolf in Las Vegas's Area 15 complex that you can buy tickets to and visit. The best way I can describe this place is an obscure, almost out of this reality supermarket with narrative/ARG elements to it. It's a very uncanny place, with even more uncanny grocery store items like whale song antiperspirant/antidepressant, honey clumps of naturally boneless, tattooed chicken, nut-free salted peanuts, and many more which you can actually buy on their website. Although, I'm not sure if you can buy them at Omega Mart itself, but I have heard that there's a secret bar you can find that serves cocktails. There's a lot more to this place than meets the eye, so if you've been here, why not let us know about your experience in the comments section below. Spartan-Liminal Space and Spartan-Party Room. These are two albums made by a creator called Spartan-, and they were both heavily inspired by liminal spaces, weirdcore, and nostalgia. They're two pretty damn good albums of music that really capture the feeling and aesthetic of what they're inspired by. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to, I'll have both albums linked in the description. Now let's end off this layer with UFO McDonald's. Roswell in New Mexico has a UFO-shaped McDonald's store and it's the only one in the world. The metal roofing shines like a beacon during the day and the neon lights glow at night. And if you didn't know, Roswell is known for the rumors of extraterrestrial sightings, so the McDonald's really does fit the area. Not a crazy surreal liminal space, but if you were to accidentally find this store while driving around the area not knowing it existed, you'd really feel like you've left your own reality, especially if no one was around. Gone, SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob can be a strange and somewhat creepy show at times, but this image is on a whole other level. Gone, an episode about SpongeBob waking up to a deserted Bikini Bottom and trying to figure out what happened to everyone. So yeah, nothing but a liminal space here and in Bikini Bottom. It really makes you want to say, we gotta get SpongeBob back. And here I thought Gone was on a whole other level. This image is on a level beyond that, or more specifically, the video it comes from. It's a video made by Joe called We Gotta Get SpongeBob Back. It follows SpongeBob's friends trying to find SpongeBob because he didn't show up to work. If you know anything about SpongeBob, if he's late to his work shift, something is always wrong. The animation seems so close to an actual SpongeBob episode, but still seems so far. Actually, it reminds me a bit of how SpongeBob was animated in Season 1. Anyway, SpongeBob's friends find the hole. Squidward goes in and it turns out to be a 3D nightmare. I'll link the video in the description if you want to check it out. At Everyone Is Gone TikTok. The user of this TikTok account posted videos documenting their bizarre experiences being stuck in what they deem to be the Backrooms. So this is a Backrooms ARG presented on TikTok. The user notes that they were being watched and then proceeds to try and live their life without human contact, just with the company of their dogs. They slowly gain access to the internet, but then something unfortunate happens and the accompanying Morse code translates to "Every good story must come to an end. Dead." Did the mysterious person watching the user kill them, or did something else happen? It's an interesting narrative for a story, and it gives a little bite-sized look into what might happen if you were suddenly alone, just like in the SpongeBob episode, Gone. AI-generated thalassophobia. Thalassa in Greek means sea, and phobos means fear. Sea fear. Fear of the sea. An irrational fear of the sea. And you know what? If this was what the world's oceans actually look like, especially with these demons in them, I think we would all have thalassophobia. You know, I have a friend who goes by Herobrine on YouTube who has submechanophobia, which is similar to thalassophobia, except it's a fear of man-made objects submerged in water. I assumed it would spook him, so I showed him the AI-generated images and I have a recording of it. Alright, so I have 4 images here that I'd like to show you that may spook you to death. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Ignore whatever. Oh. Ignore the dragons. Don't worry. Oh. Don't worry about it.
Oh god, the lights are going strobe again.
Alright, first image.
That's pretty freaky. If I saw that in the ocean, I'd be like, I don't know. I'd probably be dead on sight, probably. But
is that you? That thing in the top left corner? Whatever the hell that is.
It looks like the scout from Team Fortress 2. That's doesn't it?
Someone saved the scout. Holy moly. Oh yeah, I'll also explain what these images or how they were made once I show them all. Just for some spooky context.
Oh yeah, how they were made? That's interesting. I want to know how that's made. I see a lot of like sharks. This looks like AI generated.
Man, who knows?
Anyways, I honestly can't tell what it's supposed to be, so I can't really be scared of something I can't tell what it is. It's all a human thing of letting it get to you. If you don't let the unknown get to you, then it's not scary.
Dude, that's deep.
R/I'm 14, and that's deep.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that just looks like the void. Just, it looks like it would suck you in, like, just gone. Gone, doesn't exist. Just like this. Ah!
Oh no, he's gone. Hello?
I really hope that played out the way I wanted it to in my head.
It did. Don't you worry, it did. Alright, and now for the final one. Are you prepared?
I'm prepared. Maybe. Oh, what the? What is that? Oh, dear lord.
Go on.
There's nothing I can really say. There's nothing I can really say about this other than put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
You know what I'm gonna say about that?
The lot of these.
Well, that was fun. Thanks again to Herobrine for being part of the video. He makes informational videos about video games and more on his channel, so if that interests you, I'll have a link to it in the description. Crinkly Bottom Theme Park. So, Mr. Blobby was a nightmare featured on Noel Edmonds' Saturday night BBC One TV show, Noel's House Party. Throughout the early 90s, the UK went through Blobby mania, where a lot of people couldn't get enough of Blobby, for some reason. Why? He appeared at 3 Crinkly Bottom themed attractions in pre-existing British theme parks during the 90s. As Blobby mania and the theme park's popularity died down, I guess everything shut down but was still kept on the site, and now we have these strange photos. The abandoned place looks almost magical now, like an overgrown pixie village or something. Dad Feels / Dad. The Dad YouTube channel stars Nathan Barnett as Dad, but apparently not anymore since Barnett claims that the current Dad isn't him but is an imposter? I know this guy best from Madion's Pop Culture, a song mashup of, you guessed it, recognizable pop culture songs. Memories of listening to this song in my teens, watching Barnett wiggle around in the music video and the Bloodborne DLC for some reason? I don't know why that comes to mind, but yeah. Back on topic, the Dad rabbit hole goes deep, like ARG levels of deep. The kind where not all is as it seems, something else is clearly going on. It really seems like Dad is in his own world, or maybe trapped in his own mind, possibly even seeing things from his twisted perspective. It's hard to say, especially since I don't know much on the topic. All of this comes together to make some interesting liminal spaces, mainly because of the lack of people and or anything around him. If you're interested, I'll have a link to Barnett's channel and the Dad channel in the description. Ender User 89 Rooms folder. You know, compared to everything else they have on their profile, this folder is very out of place. It's hard to tell if Ender User took some of these photos, but they're very strange nonetheless. Google Maps End. It really does look like the end, or the path to hell, but it's not as evil as it seems, obviously. The end marks the end of the desert highway in the Mojave Desert, so it's there as a way to deter drivers from driving through the rough terrain of the desert. I think the hell indicator might be there to do that too, but I can't really confirm that. It makes sense, or it could just be there as a joke because the Mojave Desert can be seen as hell because it's one of the most driest deserts in North America. Jeff Browse, Approaching Nowhere. This book, created by Browse and William L. Fox, has a lot of liminal space photographs. I don't think the photos taken by Browse are credited as liminal spaces, but they follow the rules that make up what a liminal space is. If that sounds interesting to you, maybe check out Browse's work. A link to his website will be in the description. KC. I have no words. Most of the liminal spaces we've seen up to now haven't given off a feeling like this. I think the atmosphere of a space is personified when a lifeless object made to resemble something living is present, especially if it looks human-like. It feels like it could move at any second without warning, or follow you when your back is turned to it. Kind of like those sections in a few horror games where mannequins or stones move towards you and or change poses when out of sight. And you know what? Throw weeping angels in there too. I can't find any info on this place. I assume it's a shopping center and I have no idea what the human-like statue is. All I had to go off was KC and that didn't really get me far, so if you have any info on this image, let myself and everybody else know about it in the comment section please. Petscop. What is there to say that hasn't already been said about this video game horror ARG? But for those of you who don't know what Petscop is, I'll give a small summary. We follow the character Paul playing through Petscop, a claimed to be long-lost PlayStation 1 game in a Let's Play style of video. Throughout the 24 episodes, Paul attempts to uncover the mysteries in the game while learning about the characters found throughout it. The series is praised for its storytelling, surrealism, and it does feel very authentic. As you might have guessed, Petscop was an unfinished game in the story, so naturally, the game boasts some liminal spaces. One of them is located at the windmill, a key area within the story. Anyway, Petscop is a great watch, so if you want to check it out, you can find the channel linked in the description. The iceberg that sunk the Titanic. It's more cursed looking than anything else, but I'd still count it as a liminal space. Titanic iceberg video confirmed? The Quagmire head image. I had to talk about this because it is just... what? There has to be some sort of context or some reason behind why this is just there at what looks like an abandoned house, right? I know I've asked for this a lot already, but if you have any info on the context to this image, let us all know in the comments section. Big thanks. Now to end off this layer, we have Walton Files backgrounds. These are really ominous and create some great liminal spaces. For those of you who are unaware of what the Walton Files are, to summarize, it's an analog horror series that utilizes hidden messages, puzzles, and secrets surrounding a Five Nights at Freddy's style establishment called Bond's Burgers and the characters related to it. The YouTube videos have a good mix of found footage clips, employee instructional tapes, cartoons, and links to unlisted videos. The videos are posted to YouTube under the account Martin Walls. I'll have it linked in the description. The whole narrative is very disturbing and creepy, especially when coupled with the visuals and audio of the series. It just makes my skin crawl, and you can see what I mean regarding the visuals by looking at these backgrounds. Oh, and you know, this stuff, but without this stuff, these spaces feel a little relaxing in my opinion. But that relaxing feeling can get drowned out pretty quick by just how sorrowful and decrepit it all looks too. You definitely don't want to end up in these places, unless you want to be made beautiful. Baphomet-kun. I have absolutely no idea what's going on, but I like it. This entry is related to a YouTube channel / creator, and most videos follow a small cryptic interaction between characters and even yourself. Despite some of the themes and imagery found within the videos, I find them quite calming. I guess that's because the liminal spaces and situations found within the videos are sort of safe, but uncomfortably safe. Does that make sense? You always feel like something terrible should happen or a jump scare should appear, but no, we're chillin'. So because of that, you can just get lost in these videos and relax without a worry. Maybe you can try and piece together what all the videos mean too. I'll have a link to the channel in the description. Cuisine comme un chef. This is a game created by Gallimard Jeune and was released on March 7th, 2001. So what was this game about? Cooking? I think the game does translate to cook like a chef, so that makes sense, right? I can't find any other information related to this game, nor can I find any gameplay for it. It's almost been lost to time because it's an extremely obscure game with very obscure environments which have a very obvious liminal space look to them. Imagine finding yourself in a place like this and then being forced by a Frenchman to cook for all eternity. Experimandum Films. One of the most obscure creators found on this chart, Experimandum Films creates weirdcore style videos with a heavy emphasis on liminal spaces. Their content is pretty magical, surreal, and quite calming in its own way. For a channel like this, I'm very surprised this person has only 100 or so subscribers. Other creators we've looked at make similar content to this dude, but they have sizable amounts of subscribers, so it's kind of odd. Although I don't think Experimandum Films is creating content for the main purpose of gaining subscribers. Whenever I see good and unique content like this, it usually feels like it's made for the sole reason to be artistic or to get a message across. So if you think you'll find this content interesting or you're just curious about it, I'll have a link to their channel in the description. Staying on the topic of creators, let's move on to the final creator-centered entry, Your Local Breadman. This creator makes content that seems out of this world, from a different reality. You'll find yourself following a character who I think is called the Traveler, as it, well, travels a vast array of places and comes into contact with strange creatures. Sometimes you'll even stumble upon videos with dialogue given from the viewer's perspective or weird / dreamcore image compilations. This channel is a trip, in the best way possible. So if you want to check out the Your Local Breadman channel, I'll have a link to it in the description. MysteryPark.net. I'm not sure who created this, but it's a very strange website that offers a few choose your own adventures and a bunch of images that look AI generated. I really don't have too much to say about this website other than it's fun to go through because you never know what you'll end up finding on your first few trips to the site. I think you should totally check it out. I'll have a link to the website in the description. Level 12's identity. More Backrooms talk. The thing with level 12 is that taking a photo or recording footage in the level will result in a white image or a mass of noise and TV static. When footage is uploaded to another device, it'll turn into a standard SMPTE testing screen. That's a pretty scary concept, not to be able to show proof of a place or where you've been in a photograph or video form. But apparently, this is how level 12 is supposed to look like. Let's step aside here and move on to more Reddit talk. r/chairs underwater. This is a subreddit dedicated to chairs underwater. Who would have guessed? And they create some very bizarre liminal spaces, but also, these chairs look kinda sad in a comedic way, just sunken underwater. You know what else is sad? r/liminal space posts with barely any upvotes. There are lots and lots of posts made to this subreddit each day. So many posts get little to no upvotes, they get lost in the never-ending sea of posts, and then no one gets their epic Reddit karma. But jokes aside, there might be a lot of great liminal spaces that may never get the attention they deserve because they get lost within lots of recent subreddit posts. redstaircase.org. Unfortunately, no matter how hard I try, I can't access this website. I always get a 403 forbidden error, so it seems like the creator has taken down the site. It turns out the creator got busy with school and work, so they had to stop, which is such a shame. But from the information I've been able to find, it looks like redstaircase.org was a choose-your-own-adventure website game similar to what could be found on mysterypark.net. The story seems to follow you as you travel from liminal space to liminal space. Why are you doing that? Well, because you might have a disease called pastfulness, which traps you inside your mind in an eternal dream. Encryptions and other ARG techniques were also being added to flesh out the story and give players a mystery to dig for. The Discord for Red Staircase doesn't seem to exist anymore either, so I don't think we'll get a conclusion to the story. But hopefully the ARG is brought back one day because it does seem really interesting. Schnell Online. Oh boy. So there isn't a whole load of information out there about this game. Some of it even seems unbelievable or made up. Here's a rundown. Schnell is the German word for fast or quick. So translated we get fast online or quick online. I don't really know what that has to do with the game considering what it could be about. It's an online virtual 3D chat game similar to something like Worlds.com created by an Olven Weeplanus who also goes by Saint, I think. Conspiracies allude to Saint making their own version of the game, but it's not the real one, sort of like how Polybius has fan games or how there's another version of Sad Satan. There's also word of the game being an emulator of a hidden chat room which was a cover for human trafficking and some satanic ritual talk here and there. Now, what about the actual game itself? As we can see, it looks like a nightmare and it sounds like hell. The lobby image origin. It's a bit of a mystery where this image was taken or where this building is. Places that get mentioned a bit are Europe and America. Hold on, America. Could this be it? Somewhere in Georgia? Collins Cold Storage? The photos used in Umbilical Cord Guy's Serious Iceberg. There's an iceberg chart created by Umbilical Cord Guy, and despite what the entry states, it is the opposite of a serious iceberg. But check out the images for each layer. Beautiful. A link to that iceberg chart will be in the description. Waking up in the middle of the night to George Lopez. What a strange image and title. It's 4 AM and you are 12 and George Lopez is playing on your TV. Then you decide to look outside. Is there something outside? Is the George Lopez show loud? Is it the wacky theme that wakes people up? Is this a shared experience? I've never watched the show, so I wouldn't know. Leave your experiences with being woken up by George Lopez in the comments section. Your house after moving out. The ultimate liminal space. Everything you used to create a home for yourself and or your family is all gone, being moved to another location. All you have left is an empty space where memories were made and times were had. Now, it's time for you to move on to the next house to try and make it a home as someone else does the very same thing, but to your old house. All of that effort and care put into the house is being passed on to someone else now. Dreams/nightmares. Thoughts, images, and sensations all take place in someone's mind as they sleep. These are hosts to liminal space experiences in different ways. One way, through a liminal dream. In a liminal dream, a person is in the dream world as well as the waking world. You're not fully asleep, you're aware of your environment while also being submerged in the dream world. Liminal dreams move fast and are too different from our normal everyday experiences for us to manipulate them. Liminal dreams also don't have a narrative or environmental structure attached to the space. Dreams have often been used to experience one's mind or gain access to completely different experiences and environments not found in everyday life. Another form of dreaming is just our regular dreams during rapid eye movement sleep, REM for short. With what you're able to dream about being pretty much limitless, you're bound to have a dream where you find yourself in a liminal space, whether it be conventional or not. I know I've had a few experiences with liminal spaces in dreams over the years. The spaces are often ones I can recognize, but there's always something off about them. It's usually something to do with the layout of the area, the lack of people that should be there, or there are people there that shouldn't be there. It makes the whole dream feel detached from reality where only a few people and places exist. I mean, it is detached, but when you're dreaming, you don't notice. Do any of you have experiences like that? Because those are mine. I don't have nightmares, no matter how scary a dream might become, because nothing bad happens to me in those scary situations. I'd imagine they wouldn't be fun, being alone or in a bad situation, being chased down by something in an endless maze of something that feels familiar, but isn't. The feelings of weakness in your legs as you run, your pitiful attempts to best and come up on top of your situation. If any of you have some stories related to nightmares where your environment is a liminal space, leave a comment down below about it. I know I've asked for comments a lot in this video and metagaming the YouTube algorithm, but it's actually really fun reading your experiences and comments related to iceberg entries. False memories. Recollections that seem real in your mind but are fabricated in part or in whole. This is because as time passes, memories change and can become warped from what originally happened or what you think happened. This can all happen for a number of reasons, like an inaccurate perception, emotions, aging, etc. Either way, liminal spaces can bring forth false memories by looking at them or by being in them. Let me use an example. I talked about arcades in the first layer, and all of that nostalgia I talked about came from looking at that image. What are the chances that the memories of those 90s style arcades that I have are false memories, partly or whole? They're warm memories, but I was aged between 5 to 11 when those memories were made. It's been so long since then, I'm certain that my memories have been warped or molded into something that partially happened or might never have happened. I'm also certain that you have some false memories too. It's only human nature. Liminal Archives is an FBI/government experiment. Ahaha. But what if? An experiment for what? A psyop? What if it's all real and the website is set up to see who will delve deeper into the narrative and uncover more information? And when that information is uncovered, a knock on the door can be expected? Does that mean no clipping would be something that can be done? What if the site is being used to find people who can decipher difficult puzzles so they can be recruited into a secret government division? Hello? Long forgotten MMOs. I love the MMO genre. I haven't played many of the big ones, but I've played some smaller ones here and there over the years. RuneScape, Realm of the Mad God, Skyforge, Terra, Ragnarok, Bless Unleashed, and Elder Scrolls Online are under my belt. And what a heavy belt this is. I'm coming for you next, Final Fantasy XIV. But anyway, these games have all experienced player count highs and player count lows, and as the game's lifespans continue to grow, the inevitable may get closer and closer. They may become long-forgotten MMOs. MMO stands for Massive Multiplayer Online, and when you eliminate that part from an MMO, you get an environment made for hundreds and thousands of people completely empty. That's what it would be like to explore an MMO void of people. There have been lots of MMOs in the past that have shut down, and a lot of them seem like they're just barely hanging on to their player base. One game that I'd like to explore alone is The Matrix Online. From what I've seen, a lot of environments have an urban aesthetic which would make it feel like I'm walking around an abandoned city. Actually, I've sort of had this experience with one of the MMOs I listed that I've played before, Realm of the Mad God. I've been playing this game on and off since I was around 11 years old. If you don't know what it is, it's a roguelite bullet hell MMORPG centered around picking a class, hitting level 20, and then going for high level loot and maxing your character's stats through drinking potions. The gameplay loop is pretty simple and consists of entering a realm from the Nexus, the hub world of the game, taking out Oryx's minions in a realm, completing the optional dungeons they drop, and then fighting Oryx. The realm closes and then it's back to doing it all again. If you die or decide to kill off a character, you get fame, which you can use for a few things like upgrading your guild hall or feeding your pets, which you can take into battle to attack, use crowd control abilities, or restore HP and mana. Plus, the game has a nice pixel art style too. I remember seeing lots of people in-game when I first started playing on my older account. It wasn't thousands of people, the game servers aren't made to handle that many people, but a nice few hundred or so. Now if I were to log on to the Australian server, there would be around 10 people playing in the day and around 80 or so at night. The lack of players really leaves the Nexus feeling empty. It's just you, the spam bots in an empty, white environment. Then in the realms, sure, there are people there, but there aren't enough people to make the world feel alive. I mean, sure, you have the company of Oryx's minions before killing them, but they aren't real players, real people. And sometimes they don't spawn, so you're just left there to wander around all by yourself. It seems like the game is becoming forgotten to time, just like so many other MMOs. Other unknown liminal space image origins. Images are always fun to look at, but have you ever sat there and really thought about where these images are taken? Some of them that we've looked at seem pretty innocent, but there are others that can leave you uncomfortable and with many questions. It's human nature to seek out comfort and a sense of closure. Not knowing the context or where a liminal space is located doesn't give us that sense of closure. Here's an image. I'm not going to say where I found it or how I got it. How does that make you feel? Where are so many of the spaces we see on Liminal Archives or the Backrooms wiki? What are the origins of thousands of spaces seen in r/liminal space? What about the entries in this video? How many of them have known origins? How many of them don't? How would we all collectively know? I'll leave you with those questions before we make our way to the final entry. Images and stories on liminal spaces are in abundance. You can find them all over the internet, but what about the experiences that haven't been shared, or the ones that haven't been photographed or created? The unknown can be a bit of a scary thought. What's out there that people haven't shared? Why haven't people shared these experiences? But the way I see it, There's more liminal spaces out there that people will eventually share their experiences about, will recreate, and will take a picture of. Think of the continuation of the liminal archives, the backrooms, or even an ARG you've been enjoying. Think of the creepypastas that can come from an idea or experience someone has been sitting on for months or even years. What about other creative efforts like video games? What about videos? There's so much out there and so much to experience. The really good, the bad, and the really bad. And it's all there for people to share if they want to, if the time is ever right. This has been the Liminal Space Iceberg conquered. Thank you for watching. I had a lot of fun creating the layer intro compilations, talking about these bizarre topics, and overall, I had a great time putting this video together. So I really do hope you enjoyed the video and the change of format too. Thanks again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. I'll have a link to their new player offer in the description and in the pinned comment. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to support myself and my channel. Why not check out my second channel, Soda Jump, if you want to see more of my content on a more frequent basis. Stay tuned for updates about my Patreon. Shoutouts again to TruMediumI and a lot of other people for creating such a great iceberg chart to cover. As always, I'll leave a link to the chart in the description. You can also find the links to what was discussed in this video, like artists, creators, music, videos, and websites in the description. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day or night, whatever the time may be. Don't shut me